Hi, my name is Eddie and this is How to Get Living. Today we're going to talk about processing negative emotion. I've recently done a video about building up your capacity physically to handle emotions. So always be working on that, always be building up your physical capacity to handle emotions. Today we're going to talk about some of the more technical sides of how you can get in touch with and handle your emotions. So there's a few things to understand. One is an emotional inventory. One is a needs inventory. Next we're going to learn how to sense the emotion and be in touch with it. And then we're going to talk about processing it. Okay, the first part is an emotional inventory. You need to get in touch with all the words, the vocabulary, a list of emotions. I'm going to put a link to an emotional inventory in the description, and that could help you out. But what I'm talking about is being able to understand the different types of feelings, different types of emotions that you're going to experience, and be able to differentiate between them, okay? Like, for example, you might think of one emotional category as just being sad. But in sad, you could have disappointment, you could have depression, sadness, regret. These are all like different flavors basically of sad, and it really does matter. It really does help you to be able to differentiate between feeling sadness or disappointment or grief, okay? Because they're different emotions and they're going to tell you different things. You're going to be able to extract a different meaning from those emotions, okay? So you need to get familiar with all the different emotions that you might be experiencing and get familiar with your emotional inventory. Okay, next is a needs inventory, a vocabulary of needs. Now in the model that I frequently use, you have a need, and whether that need is being met or not being met determines what kind of emotion you're going to feel, a positive or a negative one. For example, if you have a need for connection and that need is being met, you might feel positive emotions. You might feel satisfaction, or you might feel warmth or delight or excitement. But if that need for connection is not being met, you might feel discomfort or sadness or regret or anger or disappointment. Okay, there's a whole wide range of different possible feelings that will come out of your need being met or not being met. So part of the process of being able to familiarize yourself with and process your negative emotions is to know what emotion you're feeling, and then start to sense what is the need that I have that is creating that emotion. Okay, and when you are able to sense both of these things, the emotion and the need, then you're moving towards being able to understand and really get sensitive and be in touch with your emotion. So the third thing I'm going to talk about is being in touch with that emotion, or being able to sense it. So I talked about needs and how needs create an emotion. When you're able to articulate to yourself what emotion you're feeling and get a sense of what the need is that you're missing out on, that's creating a negative emotion, then you're going to be at a place where you can actually sense in your body why the emotion is there and what to do about it. This is very difficult to really articulate and explain. It's something you more have to go through to understand. You have to experience it, like a lot of things I talk about, to really understand it. But basically, when you have a sense of what emotion you're feeling, and you can name it, and you understand what it is, need that you're missing out on, and what that means to you, how you might be able to get it, then you're going to really have a bodily sense and be really close and in touch with what your emotion is, what that negative emotion is. Basically, you're going to be really in touch with that emotion and what the effect that it's having on you is. Okay, so there's a difference between just knowing I feel this way versus having a bodily sense of what the effect of that emotion is and why it is there. Okay, and so now we get to a point where we have an understanding of what the emotion we're experiencing is and what need we're missing out on. And we can really be in touch with that and have that have a sense of what that means for me specifically in my life, and how that applies to me. Then we can be present with that emotion and heal it and accept it. Okay, I'll give you an example of what that means. Let's say that you have been hurt in a relationship, or that there's a pattern of you being hurt in a relationship. You get into a relationship with someone and they become distant, and that feels very painful for you. You experience a lot of negative emotions because your needs are not being met. If you continually skip over that emotion, you don't process it, what's going to happen is it's going to return back. You're going to, in that same relationship or in a new one, you're going to have the same thing happen. Your need will not be met and you'll experience the same emotion. Okay, so that emotion is actually there. Let's say you're feeling a lot of shame, or you're feeling a lot of loneliness or sadness because your partner isn't giving you connection that you really need. Then that emotion is there to teach you that your relationship is not healthy, it's not helping you. I'm summarizing on a very broad scale here, there's no detail involved, so I'm talking about a very wide picture there, but The point of that emotion is to teach you that this doesn't work. And when you process it, when you've sat with the emotion, you know, identified it, you know what your need is, and you felt it, and you let it absorb into your body, and you let it become part of who you are, you accepted it, and you've processed it, what's going to happen is that in the future, when you see situations where you're not getting your need met, or you're potentially not going to get it met, you'll just not want to go there. You'll avoid that situation because you'll know in your mind that it will lead to the negative emotion. Okay, and in that kind of case, that's the purpose for the emotion being there. Okay, it's there to teach you and empower you to avoid that and to get something else. Okay, so I'm talking about really, really big topics. I'm like drawing a high-level view of really, really deep things, but what I'm talking about is very important. It's something you need to experience before you can really fully understand it, but the way I'm describing it to you is accurate. It is how it actually is. Okay, so those negative emotions that you're experiencing are there to teach you something, there to show you something that you need to learn, and avoiding them by shoving them down, or pretending they're not there, or distracting yourself with looking at something, or distracting yourself by drinking or taking other substances, all that's doing is it's delaying and deferring the lesson that you need to learn. Trust me, when you get to a point where you can accept and process the negative emotion that is coming from you not getting your needs met, what's going to happen is it's going to enable you to get your needs met. Okay, because you're going to avoid situations where your needs are not getting met. Okay, if you keep deferring that emotion and don't process it, you're going to keep re-experiencing those situations over and over again. The universe is going to keep giving you back that situation and giving you back that feeling until you get to a place where you can avoid it and you know this isn't for me. Okay, so to summarize, we've talked about getting in touch with and sensing and processing emotions on a very, very high level summary. I've talked about having an inventory of your emotions, an inventory of your needs, being able to sense them as they occur in your body, and then being able to process and accept them. Thank you for your time. My name is Eddie. Please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and return again for more videos like this. This is How to Get Living.